Hey guys, today I am going to tell you about one of the most incredible naval battles in history, a battle that literally turned the tide of World War II in the Pacific. What if I told you that in just 5 minutes, the United States crushed 4 of Japan's most powerful aircraft carriers? This wasn't just luck, it was strategy, sacrifice, and some mind-blowing code. This is the story of the Battle of Midway, where the US Navy pulled off one of the greatest upsets in military history. So if you love war stories, hidden history, or just want to know how the underdog punched back hard, stick around because this one's going to blow your mind. And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments what historical battle you'd like me to cover next. Chapter 1: The Rising Sun. After the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the Japanese Empire seemed unstoppable. They had conquered vast territories across the Pacific, Guam, the Philippines, Malaya, the Dutch East Indies. Their fleet was modern, experienced, and massive. The heart of their naval power, 6 elite aircraft carriers, including Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hairu. These carriers had launched the attack on Pearl Harbor. They had blood on their decks and victories in their logbooks. The United States, meanwhile, was still reeling. The Pacific Fleet was battered, morale was low, and America was on the defensive. But the Japanese made a critical mistake. They believed they had crushed American power. They underestimated the power of American resolve. American codebreakers. Chapter 2: The Codebreakers. 3:30 to 6:30. At Pearl Harbor, inside a small, dimly lit building known as Station HYPO, a group of cryptanalysts worked around the clock, led by Commander Joseph Rochefort. These unsung heroes were trying to crack the complex Japanese naval code, JN-25. And then, in May 1942, they did it. The Japanese planned a major offensive, targeting a location they only referred to as a. Rochefort believed it was Midway Atoll, but he needed proof. So, the Americans sent a fake message from Midway: "Our water purification system has broken down." Shortly after, Japanese radio chatter mentioned that AF was having water problems. That was it. Proof Midway was the target. Now, Admiral Chester Nimitz had a chance to prepare to turn the hunter into the hunted. Chapter 3: Setting the Trap. 6:30 to 9:30. Admiral Nimitz, commander of the US Pacific Fleet, made a bold decision. Even though he had fewer ships, he ordered his only 3 available carriers, USS Enterprise, USS Hornet, and USS Yorktown, to sail to Midway and set up an ambush. The Japanese plan was complex. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto wanted to lure the remaining American carriers into a trap by attacking Midway and hitting the island from the air. But Yamamoto didn't know that the Americans already knew his plan. Worse, his own fleet was stretched out across thousands of miles, disconnected and vulnerable. By June 3rd, US patrol planes spotted the Japanese fleet. The trap was set. Chapter 4: The Battle Begins. 9:30 to 12 o'clock. At 4:30 a.m. on June 4, 1942, Japanese carriers launched over 100 aircraft to attack Midway Island. Midway's airstrip was bombed, but the US defenders held. More importantly, the Japanese planes had to return to refuel and rearm. That's when things started to unravel for Japan. As Admiral Nagumo debated whether to reload his planes for a second strike on Midway or prepare for a possible carrier battle, he chose both, a critical delay. Meanwhile, American torpedo bombers from Midway and the US carriers launched wave after wave of attacks, many of them devastating failures. Torpedo Squadron 8 from the USS Hornet was wiped out. 15 planes launched, 15 planes lost. But their sacrifice forced the Japanese fighters to fly low and focus downward, leaving the skies above them wide open. Chapter 5: 5 minutes that changed history. 12 o'clock to 14 o'clock. At 10:22 a.m., 3 squadrons of US dive bombers appeared high above the Japanese fleet. The skies were clear. The enemy fighters were low. The Japanese carriers were exposed fuel lines running, bombs still on deck. Then it happened. From the USS Enterprise in Yorktown, SPD, dauntless dive bombers plunged from the sky. In a space of just 5 minutes, Akagi Kaga and Soryu were engulfed in flames. Their decks exploded. Their crews were helpless. The elite Japanese carriers that once ruled the Pacific were now burning wrecks. Chapter 6. The Hiryu strikes back. To 14 o'clock to 15:30, only one Japanese carrier remained. Hiryu. In a desperate counterattack, it launched bombers that struck the USS Yorktown, crippling the proud American carrier. But the Americans weren't done. Later that afternoon, American dive bombers found Hiryu and struck hard. She too was mortally wounded. All 4 Japanese carriers were gone, thousands of sailors lost, and Japan's ability to wage offensive carrier warfare in the Pacific was shattered. Chapter 7. Why Midway Mattered. 15:30 to 18 o'clock. Midway wasn't just a victory, it was a turning point. Before Midway, Japan was on the offensive. After Midway, it was on the defensive. The US had turned the tables not with more ships, but with intelligence, planning, bravery, and a bit of fate. The Japanese lost not only 4 of their best carriers, but also over 250 aircraft and some of their most experienced pilots. They would never be able to replace them. Meanwhile, the US ramped up its industrial machine-building ships, training pilots, and gaining confidence. The Pacific War would rage on for 3 more brutal years, but after Midway, the end was only a matter of time. The Battle of Midway was won not just by bombs and bullets, but by minds. The brilliant codebreakers at Station HYPO, the courage of torpedo squadrons who flew into certain death, the calm leadership of Admiral Nimitz, and the split-second decisions made by pilots diving into the chaos below. It was a battle where everything could have gone wrong, and yet, almost miraculously, it went right. Midway wasn't just the turning point of the Pacific War, it was one of the most decisive naval battles in world history. If this story blew your mind, there's so much more history waiting to be uncovered. Drop a comment. What do you think was the biggest turning point of World War II? Thanks for watching, and remember, history isn't just about the past, it's about understanding how we got here.